Hello guys, welcome back to Watch Addiction Watch Reviews. Now today in front of you I have a very nice release from Melbourne Watch Company based in Australia. As you can see here, this is their new Burnley series, and it's a very nice looking watch. Obviously it kind of has that Gerald Genta design to it, but it's not really a homage watch. Just has that kind of, AP case shape, and a pretty straightforward dial and case here. Now this watch is one of their newest releases, and I think it's one of their best so far. I've been reviewing their watches for quite some time, and I've always experienced great customer service and fast shipping from DHL. It came in like 2 days, and they're very responsive in their emails. They're definitely a very reputable company based in Melbourne, Australia, and there are very few watch companies in Australia, so this is definitely one of the better ones. I'm not sure if I know of any other ones, but they do assemble their watches themselves. They don't produce their watches in Australia, but they definitely assemble them in Australia from what I can see. Now, this is the black dial variant. There are a few different variants of this watch. As you can see, we get this nice kind of, if you get in a little closer, it almost looks a tiny bit scratched if you can see it. Kind of like a little slight aged wear to it, which is pretty cool. It's basically housed in a solid 316L steel brushed case pretty much all around, and the finishing and the cut is very sharp and nice. Everything is really on point here. I was quite surprised, and definitely came out better than their last release in my honest opinion. The finishing is just really smooth, and there are no sharp edges or anything like that, especially on like those cheap, you know, other watches that kind of have this style. You kind of get that, sharpness under here, and this one is perfectly smooth and definitely well machined. If we get in a little closer on the dial, you can see the dial does feature a nice, I would say, nice kind of, they are kind of polished there, polished applied markers there, and we do have some nice broad loomed hands, which is always good to see. This is not a dive watch, so you do only get 50 meters of water resistance. This is more of an everyday watch, more of a casual and a dress watch in my opinion as well. So you can definitely go both ways with this one. We get a pull and push crown, which is nicely protected, as you can see here. Very nice crown. It is actually signed with the Melbourne logo, which is actually pretty cool. If you see that nice M there. But yeah, just a very nice size. We have a 42 millimeter case diameter. The thickness is crazy. It's only 10 millimeters thin, and this houses an automatic caliber as well. We'll get more into that. So we get 10 millimeters thickness there. That's pretty crazy. I mean, it fits really nice on the wrist, as you can see here. 42 by 10, very nice dimensions for the modern man. The dial itself with printing is quite simple. Melbourne has printed the logo, then you have Burnley, then you have automatic in red, which is a nice little touch on that black dial. I think it's just the right amount of pop. But other than that, you have a nice smooth sweeping seconds hand, as you can see. Very thin with the M on the counterbalance for Melbourne, so it's a nice little touch. And the bracelet itself is an integrated bracelet with a butterfly clasp, as you can see here. It pops open, made of solid stainless steel. We can get a glimpse at the movement now. As you can see, this one is running the 9015 made by Miyota. This movement's, most of you guys know it. It's kind of the equivalent of the ETA 2824. It beats at 4 Hertz, hand winding, hacking. They're very accurate and reliable. And the neat thing about this watch is you don't get that crazy rotor spin. Most people hate the 9015 because, well, not hate it, but prefer other movements over it because the rotor kind of goes really crazy. But this one, I guess they did something to the rotor. This one, when it spins, you don't feel it on your wrist. Like if I spin it here, it's going to spin, but it's not crazy. It'll spin a couple times, sort of like an ETA 2824. So I'm guessing they modified it or something like that. We do get a nice exhibition case back, so you can see the movement, some stripes on the main plate there as well. And they did put a custom Melbourne rotor on it in a kind of peach color, which is very nice. Case back is held down by real screws and brushed with some specifications. Now, to actually function the 9015, first position, we can wind the watch manually if you want to give it some power. We have around a 40-42 hour power reserve usually on these movements. I've been through a lot of 9015s. Definitely a very, I would say, a proven movement. It works great. It beats at 4 Hertz. You get that nice smooth sweep at 28,800 beats per hour. And then we're going to pull out one position. We get a nice quick set date over at the 3 o'clock position, as you can see there. Then your final position is your hacking position, and you can change the time here. Very legible hands, and they do match the markers quite good, as you can see there. So that's a nice little touch as well. Push that back down, and you're good to go. Now getting into the bracelet itself, we kind of have like this H-link style integrated bracelet, which is actually really flexible and is held together by screws. As you can see, there are screws in there. Yeah, you can see that right there. There are screw links there, so all you need is a screwdriver to adjust this and you should have no issues. Definitely comes equipped with enough links for a big wrist, so do not worry about that. There also is some half links, as you can see here. You get a nice half link here, so you should have no problem adjusting this on this butterfly clasp here. It snaps together, it's pretty firm, it's not coming loose, and it's pretty low key as well. It's not going to annoy your wrist there. So no issues there with the bracelet. It definitely has a decent finishing to it, all brushed, but it is polished slightly on the edges, which is a nice little touch, as well as the smooth bezel on the sides. As you can see here, it's brushed on the top, but it's polished on the sides of it, which just to give it a little pop, a little attention there. We do get a genuine sapphire crystal, which is, of course, pretty much expected at this price of about $582 US. But yeah, it's definitely a very well-made watch from what I can tell. And it keeps great time. This one I've tested over the past week, and it's been gaining about 5 seconds a day, which is great in my opinion. Now in terms of lume, this isn't what you call a lume monster or anything like that, but there is some lume on the hands as well as the 3 and the 9. So you do have enough lume to read the time at night, which is definitely sufficient for a watch style like this. Oh, there she is on my 6.5-inch wrist, and this thing wears extremely thin. I mean, it does have some nice weight to it because we have that solid stainless steel bracelet, but it really wears really thin. Definitely can fit under a shirt cuff if you wanted it to. As you can see there, even with the light directly on the crystal, there's really not much reflection on this crystal, and definitely very legible at all angles. But yeah, definitely very comfortable and looks very fancy on the wrist. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What do I think of this watch? I mean, you are getting a great movement. You are getting a great case finish, cut, and build. I really do say that with honesty there. It's very well put together, this watch, and definitely has that nice Gerald Genta aesthetic, nice signed Melbourne crown. We get the Miyota 9015 in there, which most people really do appreciate. It's a bit of an upgrade from the NH35 produced by Seiko. It's a better movement. This one is produced by Citizen. And like I said, it's definitely a competitor to the Sellita SW200s and the ETA 2824s of the world. Now, I really didn't find any errors or quality control issues with this watch. I happen to actually really like this watch, and I think it's a decent watch if you're looking to get, a watch that obviously looks a lot more expensive than it costs. And this is not a cheap watch at $582 US. But it's definitely a very well-made one, I must say that. Everything is very well put together, from down to the dial, the case cut, the finishing, and you're getting a decent bracelet as well. Some companies make a watch with this kind of style, but they short out on the bracelet. They definitely didn't do that on this model. The bracelet is definitely equal to the price point, I would say. And the dial is very classy as well. Definitely a watch that can be used in many occasions. So let me know what you think of this watch down in the comment section below. This is the new release from Melbourne Watch Company, straight out of Australia, the Melbourne Burnley. Definitely leave a comment below. Throw me a like if you enjoyed the video as usual, and we'll chat down there. I will also drop a link to Melbourne in the description below so you can check them out after this video. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.